What's up, everyone? Adam Gelman here with another video. Got an amazing panel of guests tonight. We are going to be spending the next few minutes here discussing 2023 Prizm. I've also so excited to welcome Ryan Bannister to the chat here. Drake, you've been on a couple of our videos as well. Ryan, my partner in crime. We'll get through introductions here too, but I think this is going to be such an interesting discussion because I think we're all coming from different parts of the hobby to sort of engage in this product. And I think we all collect different sort of things within the hobby. And I can't wait to sort of get this out on the table, get everything we have to say about Prizm. So I want to kick it off with some introductions. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. We recently sort of got to hang out together, and I was really excited about that. But I wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself, where you're from, where they can find you, and then we'll go to Drake as well.
Okay. Assuming this Ryan Bannister, right?
Ryan Bannister, yes. I know we have two Ryans on the call.
Yeah, obviously, you know, I'm Ryan Bannister. We're in basically St. Peters, Missouri, a suburb of St. Louis. Our shop, RBI Crew 7. We've been open over 11 years now. Adam and I go actually back to the days where he really just ripped football and stuff and complained how he got destroyed by a case of Spectra, you know? So yeah, no, we've been going strong in the hobby for a very long time. I think we formed our YouTube channel in 2007, opened our shop in 2012, and the rest is history. And here we are 11 years later. And I'm happy to be here. I can't thank Adam enough. And I'm excited to talk some wrestling and Prizm.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, Ryan, I had an experience at RBI Crew because I used to go to St. Louis as a business and for my business trips. And that was always the shop I had gone to. Funny enough, they just opened their new shop a few years ago. It's absolutely awesome. You should definitely check it out if you're in the St. Louis area. So glad to have you on, Ryan Bannister. So this is going to be difficult all night. Drake, do you want to introduce yourself as well? You've been on a couple of our chats before. Really excited to have you back.
Yeah, so thanks for having me back again. I'm glad to be on. Drake Magruder, currently live in Fort Smith, Arkansas, originally from the Memphis, Tennessee area. Grew up loving Memphis wrestling and the territories and the WWF and WCW and all that kind of stuff. Huge wrestling fan, collected memorabilia and autos, and just love going to the events and all that kind of stuff. But never knew wrestling cards even existed until just a few years ago. And jumped in and kind of the vintage stuff and, you know, grabbed a few things there. And then as soon as I learned there was more modern sets, which kind of gravitated to where I collected as mostly like a young kid, and all the parallels and golds and chrome and finest and now Prizm and all that, you know, and select and all the great stuff from Panini. I've just really kind of dove head in. I started taking the shotgun approach when I first came back.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to narrow down my scope a little bit. So.
Yeah, but you picked up some nice stuff along the way. I just saw you got the Rock Prizm Gold, which I'm sure we will talk about here. I'm sure you've got it next to you.
He's sitting right here next to me. So.
There we go. 2 for 2 on those. Ryan Shear, my partner in crime, as I always introduce. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. I want to point out that you just referred to Drake's cards as, quote, some nice stuff. It's literally top 1% stuff, but it's just nice stuff.
I don't think you've seen what Ryan Bannister has, so I think that we might have some competition, maybe a big dick swinging contest we can get out of the way here.
And when you texted me today and you said you got these two guys on, I was super excited because these are two of the modern heavyweights right here.
Yeah.
Who are, you know, Drake, you got that Vince McMahon Superfractor, right, Otto?
Yeah.
The one that somebody keeps on posting on eBay trying to sell for you?
That's it.
Yeah. So I know that just today, or I think it was yesterday, Bannister just picked up the Macho Man Black Gold Select 101. So I mean, these are top 1% cards. It's some nice stuff, and I'm really excited to get you guys' viewpoints on this set. But I'm Ryan Shear. I'm Adam's partner here. You guys see me on these videos all the time, and I'm just super excited for this one. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited too. And I don't want to blow smoke up these guys' asses too much. Their heads can only get so big, right, guys? But I'll tell you, the thing with Prizm, and this is, I think, where I've had the most experience with both of these guys recently, even with kind of the way that they've approached their collections, is like Prizm tends to be a very attractive product for a very specific type of collector, but there's also some of this wide ranging appeal that has happened over the course of these other couple of sets. I want to start the discussion tonight with a really easy question that has probably a very complicated answer. So coming out of 2022, where we finish off with Prizm, everything seems to be, going the way that it has. what were your expectations for Prizm 2023? Did the set live up to it? Did it exceed it? Did it fall short on some of those things? Like, we'll get to the good, the bad kind of later on here, but in terms of your expectations, how did the product measure up? Maybe Drake, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Ryan here.
Yeah, so really just being someone who focuses on like certain things in the product, like I'm a huge fan of like the gold prisms and of course black 1-in-1s if you can find them and all that. So I'm a pretty focused collector, but really from what I've seen, just kind of overall, the product's great. I love the photography this year compared to last. I think the photography is a lot better this year than last. When you look at the checklist, I mean, it seems it's more kind of all encompassing, right? There's some names on the checklist this year, such as the Macho Man, right? That weren't on there last year, right? And some other names. And so we'll spend more time talking the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, there's some things that I'm not crazy about. And that's just kind of me as a certain type of collector that I'm at. So yeah, but overall, I think it's a great product. I really think the reviews I've seen are really positive. It seems like the competition, like last year you would see, you'd have a few people in competition for some of the cards. And of course the prices were crazy.
Competition over cards.
Yeah, exactly. but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the price points being lower or something like that, but there's things that, I'm just kind of watching and they get snatched up as soon as they're listed, or if somebody has them on Facebook or social media or whatever, those like the really good cards are getting snatched up really quickly. And they're going to the hands of collectors versus the hands of flippers and things like that, from what I can tell.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I agree. I mean, like I've seen, like there's sharks swimming, right? And I think for last year's Prizm, Whatnot wasn't a thing yet. And I think this year it is. And it's creating this sort of weird dichotomy between the people that are on the Whatnot platform and trying to drive breaks and single sales, and then the people on Twitter, Instagram, people like that I interact with on a regular basis, including you guys. So, I mean, like, yeah, I kind of feel that too. Ryan, what about you, Bannister? What about you? Like, how do you kind of approach this from an expectation versus delivery sort of thing with Prizm this year?
First off, price point was so much better this year. I'm not going to lie. Last year was insane, and it continued to go up. And from a standpoint, from a shop that buys this stuff, and I went heavy on this product, and I was paying very, very strong money at the time, but I was coming out smelling like a rose because it kept going up. And I'm like, all right, I gambled. But this year was great because more people can buy it from a shop standpoint, from selling product. I feel like it's a perfect price point. I feel like what's going to happen. It's probably going to come down just a tick more because I still think it's going to get dumped by the shops that don't move WWE on DealerNet and eBay. And I think what's going to happen once you eliminate those guys, and this happens all the time, it's going to start holding, then going back up for the box price. But where it's at right now, it's a no-brainer at the rip, in my opinion. I mean, you're not paying what $1,500 a box now,
right? Where it was last year.
Now we're in the low twos, which I saw this product. I said this product's going to be about a $225 price point. Everybody's going to come on high. It's going to come down. But like Drake was saying, I mean, now these singles are going crazy money. But last year they were going crazy money because you were paying crazy money to rip it. This year, you're not spending as much, and now the singles are going incredibly higher. People expecting so much more because now the word's out. It's Prizm. There's a short window of WWE being produced by Panini. But I like what he said. It's getting in the hands of collectors because I'm searching eBay daily for WWE 101 new listed, and barely a lot is hitting the market, and it's getting sucked up. So from that standpoint, plus I'll say this, I'm not a horizontal guy, and I love the horizontals this year. I am in love.
Interesting. Okay. All right. That's a hot take right
up and down card guy, but
Me too.
They did such a great job in so many images this year. Like you said, the Macho Man, the Roman Reigns, the Rock. I mean,
so good.
Just phenomenal. And the way that they're horizontal, they take up the whole card. They knocked out of the park with that one.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. So I have a love-hate relationship with horizontal Prizm cards because last year's Becky card was horizontal. This year's Becky card is horizontal. I hate the picture this year, but I think overall, like, we've seen some incredible images for these base cards. We'll get to some of why that's so cool here in a second. But from an expectation perspective, I saw them drive another 100 card horizontal set. I'm like, here we go again. And I think for the most part, they've made some really cool sort of choices with the photos to make them worthwhile to collect. Macho Man being one of them. There's also like kind of this weird, like, well, the wrestler is going to be this big, but it's kind of going to be that like LeBron, Kobe dunk card where it's like a small guy, but it's such an awesome looking shot with Montez Ford or something like that. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think that to your point, both of you, about like the collector aspect of this is huge. I think collectors felt like they were priced out last year. They didn't really want to sit and sift through all of the high end sort of singles prices, things crash, whatever. This year, people are much more sort of like, oh, it's only 225. I've got a shot here. I got to get going. I got to hustle. And the collectors are scooping up their cards as quickly as him. I know I am. So like, Ryan Shear, like when you look at it from your perspective, because you only collect one guy, I only collect one person. Drake, you're kind of a focus collector as well. Ryan, what were your expectations coming into this, and how did you sort of approach this from, expectations versus reality?
Well, I think that when we reviewed the checklist, we both were kind of in agreement that it was like a 3 out of 5. Like it was,
Yeah.
it was pretty good, average. I think that from what we've seen, it's completely blown it out of the water. I think this is not a 3 out of 5. I think this is like a 4 or 4.5 out of 5 set. There's some problems with it, of course, but I am super excited over this product because I think that now collectors, both who were previously in wrestling cards and who are now coming in from the outside, I think they're finally establishing Prizm as the set.
Yeah.
I think last year they didn't do it. I think there was a lot of off-putting stuff. The price point absolutely was it. I mean, $1,300 is a lot of money to open, for a box that wasn't
for a WWE box, nonetheless.
It's a lot of money for any box, to be honest with you. I mean, football, basketball, whatever. I mean, that's my opinion. I think it's a lot of money.
It
I
is.
think, what you're seeing now is the price point's right. I think that you're seeing, people can open more than one box, get more singles out there, get more of a saturation of the market. And some of the stuff that we're seeing coming out of FOTL boxes is insane.
Oh,
I mean, I
it's
really
loaded.
it is loaded. It's absolutely loaded. And I really hope that they save something on the back end for the regular boxes, because the stuff we're seeing coming out of FOTL has been incredible. But I think
Ryan,
that
you ripped a couple cases, didn't you?
Yeah, I've done 2 cases of FL5.
Yeah, and you got some really nice stuff. I think you're hitting it on the head, Ryan. Ryan Shear, God, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
Bannister ripped cases. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not ripping cases, but I think we're finally seeing where the wrestling hobby is accepting Prizm as the set to acquire the big singles in, because we just saw the Macho Man Gold out of 10 sell for $9.95, that's an insane price for a card out of 10. I can tell you that I've been buying his selects from last year out of 10 for under $100. So to see, and I think a lot plays into it. The picture's phenomenal. It's his first Prizm card. It's brand new. So of course I would expect the next couple singles to come down. But how much is it going to come down to? 500 to 300? That's still a lot of money for a card out of 10, based on his market. So, this is probably going to be the set of the year. I don't see how Panini can top it already. So, but like I said, there are detractors, and we'll get to that as well.
Yeah, for sure. Drake, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, we were just going to ask a question, and I'll apologize in front if this comes up in the list, but one of the things I've been curious about, and not as a negative, but kind of the first off the line thing, right? So I know you get the chance to get the product sooner. And if there wasn't excitement for that, right, that would be a problem. And so I think there is excitement for first off the line. And, I was just curious the group's thoughts, number one, on the price point that it got to in the Dutch auction. Thoughts on that?
290, right? Sold out 290?
Yeah, something like a 290, which I think is close to the hobby price, number one. And then number two, I'm trying to understand, just as someone newer in this space, right? Well, what's the justification for the higher price on the FOTL other than getting it a little bit sooner? Because typically you see the secondary market values of the shimmers even though they're lower numbered in a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't really do as well. So I was just wanting to kind of unpack that.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll let the group answer as well. I think that the point you made about the shimmers is a clear one that we need to sort of flush out here, because Rock's gold shimmer out of 3 sold at PSA 10 for like what, $5,500?
Yeah, like
and
$5,000.
Yeah. So, and the PSA 8 gold out of 10 sold for what you were following that on
Yeah, it was
Golden
like
pretty close.
11,000. Yeah,
11,000. Yeah, exactly. So there's clearly a discrepancy between the legacy parallels, like the gold, the flat golds, and then the shimmers themselves. Ryan, I don't know if you've Bannister. I don't know if you've seen that in the football side. I know you do a lot of business around Prizm and football and basketball. The shimmers from there are similar, right?
Yeah, it's always the true gold is what drives those cards. It's what people really want. I'll say I'm the same way. I'd rather pay more for a true gold, even though it's numbered to 7 or 5 more than a gold shimmer, because the only way you get the gold shimmers first up the line, but you can get golds and hobby or first up the line, and it's just tradition. It's been around, it's been going. I think that's what it is to the card collector is, the shimmers are just like another way to quote unquote print more product. This year, I didn't like the fact that they went from 3 to 5 and 8 to 11. All they did was clearly make more first off the line and product, and that drives me nuts. But yeah, from a standpoint, I think the true golds look better than a shimmer anyway. That's me.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think also, Drake, I think there was a tornado or some storms that prevented shipping from going out at a normal time frame in Texas or wherever this was coming from, I think is what I had heard. It's a lot of rumor and speculation. I didn't hear that directly from Panini. I heard it from other people who were inquiring why their shipping notifications weren't going out. But yeah, I think the early stuff is good. However, I have also seen the cases of first off the line, the autograph quality is up. The parallels that you get in the boxes, there tend to be better wrestlers. Like, I don't know if that was on purpose. It's probably just a collation weird thing that happens. I'm sure you guys have opened enough at product across a number of different things where weird shit goes down in products when you pack it out. So I think this year specifically, like, there was a ton of awesome stuff, color blasts, golds, blacks, like everything. Last year, a lot of the blacks were coming at a much higher rate for first off the line too. So I mean, I think Jameson, who's been on some of these videos before, he ripped 2 or 3 cases of first off the line last year, pulled like 2 or 3 blacks. So I mean, like, there's a clear delineation of getting people to buy into a direct to consumer format, and I think that they're basically trying to get people to incentivize them to do that with the extra parallels. I think the other stuff is kind of accidental. It's really hard to cook books at Prizm. There's just too many cards. So I think, like, I don't know. It's a great question. Other people have any other feedback there?
I mean, I've done 2 cases first up the line so far, and I'll say it was night and day. 2 different results. One had so much mojo and gold. The other one had very little mojo and gold outside of the shimmers. One had a color blast, one didn't. One had great autographs. One had like Legends autos. One didn't have as much Legends. It was more like Cody Rhodes, and, all the newer ones. So there's really, again, I'll go with what Ryan said earlier. The first up line is loaded from a standpoint outside of the shimmers I've seen. I actually brought a hobby case home tonight just in case I was in the after this. But nice. I did stay up late last night watching the Lakers clinch the 7 seats. I don't know if my body can stay up late again. But nice. I was like, if I'm going to sit here and talk Prizm all night, I haven't ripped a hobby case yet. I've done 2 photos. I call it photo. It's just
you're good.
And then like 1 hobby box. I'm going to rip several hobby boxes in several cases. It's just got to find time. But not to intrude on Ryan, but that was just my take on the ripping 2 cases of it.
Yeah, I mean, but wouldn't it make sense to load the FOTL knowing that's going to get to collectors first?
It would, 100%.
If you,
I agree.
If you're loading the product, then there's people that don't either care about the FOTL product or care about the hobby, and all they're seeing is hit, banger, 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 and then they go to a card shop and it's sitting on a shelf and it's a regular hobby box. They're going to buy it.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt you there from the standpoint of why I know why first up line is loaded. Put it this way, from a perspective of shop, guy who gets product, original cost, they have to sell us hobby, let's just say for $100 and a quarter roughly, right? To us as direct. The distributor maybe a little more, vice versa. Fotto bottomed out at just under $300. They were probably getting $400, $500, $600. So clearly they're getting way more money by just throwing some shimmers in there, loading it up. That was what I was trying to get to. My point is they can make way more money than what they're starting selling for. So
yeah, the Dutch auction really creates like this. See, like, I bought in above the floor, so like I was one of those people that was like, on my phone, like trying to like get the boxes before they sold out, and I did really well. I pulled a Macho Man Gold shimmer, really yeah. So like, and I pulled Roxanne Perez, I pulled some really good parallels. Like, it was a really fun experience. I never, this was honestly, since Prizm 2017 football, this was the first off the line box I had ripped, just because it was affordable. Yeah, there
We
you
both
go.
hit gold shimmers.
There we go.
I can't
Ryan
take
might be a buyer.
my son hit this one, but you and I both have hit the gold shimmer, 2 of the 5.
They're awesome cards.
Yeah.
They're awesome cards, and they're guaranteed. Like, I had 5 boxes, I pulled 3 golds, and that's just fun. Like, it's just a fun experience. Now, I've ripped hobby boxes already too. Did pretty good on those. So, like, I don't know, like, it's all about luck. I mean, it's hard for us to say, like, this is the way, this is how it works. But I think the experience I've seen watching cases on Whatnot, on YouTube, on breaking platforms, like, the first off the line stuff tends to look cooler, has more fun aspect to it, because you're getting 4 hits a box instead of just 2. So if for a watcher who is just observing the breaks, I think it's a really cool aspect of that. But Drake, that's a great question, man. I think there's a lot of confusion too with wrestling collectors because they haven't had that experience with first off the line. And plus the impeccable first off the line wasn't great. So, like, when you look at what Immaculate brought versus what Prizm brought, I mean, they're both really adding some fun to those products, even though the value of the acetates, out of the purple acetates, the shimmers may not be as high as like the actual acetates or the actual golds. Like, it's still an added hit. You're not paying, $150 to $400 more like you would in like an NFL or an NBA. You're only paying like it was like $40 more to get these extra cars. So that's fun in itself, right?
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that Adam and I have been preaching for a long time with these products is that you can't compare the shimmers to the base cards like the base golds and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way in regular sports. And I think that, we just had it was a rock gold shimmer, right? Just went off for, what would it go off?
5,500. Yeah, 5,500.
Okay. And there was a segment of the population, the detractors, that said, oh, look at this, a rock gold, 5,500. There's no way, this is so cheap. And everyone was saying this is going to be a $50,000 card. Well, everybody who knew how the market worked knew it wasn't going to be as expensive as
the real gold,
as a base gold. It never is. The shimmers are completely different. They're not nearly as popular. But now with the Macho Man sign for $9.95, I hope it gets paid for, because that really sets a tone that the wrestling hobby, I have to think that some wrestling collectors were in the bidding to get the card that high. They are finally understanding and coming to the table with the understanding that this is the way for Prizm. It's not about the autographs. It's about the base color.
The legacy parallels. Yeah,
exactly. And I think that we didn't see that
it's not the only, and also it's not the only configuration too. We have undercard this year. So you're going to have the speckles now. Ryan, you've probably had a ton of experience with the different configurations of Prizm as it pertains to how they compare versus hobby. Yeah. Like, there's going to be even more difference there too, because a gold speckle or whatever they're going to call it,
disco
from undercard.
Disco, it's basically like a fast break, whatever they
exactly, no huddle,
fast break, whatever they want to pull on their ass, basically. So
right, exactly. But like those parallels, they're going to have 1 out of 10. They're going to have exclusive stuff coming out of those boxes. There are certain things I think will do well, like the 1 per box variations that come in no huddle and everything are going to be part of undercard as well. I think those will be cool. Like, they have Stardust, they have the Shockmaster, like stuff like that we talked about on the checklist video, but they're not big dollar cards, right? They're not like, those variations aren't going to be 4 figures. They're not going to be 10, 5 figures, nor is the disco or whatever they're going to call it for undercard going to hold up to like the rock gold that Drake just got from this year compared to the disco version from undercard. They're going to be 2 vastly different cards, even though they have the same number in. That's going to be a shock to some wrestling collectors, never having ripped no huddle or fast break, or even some of the other configurations that have been the H2s that come out for these other products. Like, Panini's just trying to extend out how much product they can put on the market with these different configurations. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, not to mention they print far less of these type of products, these fast breaks, these undercards. There's way. Allocation to us is significantly less. Like, say we get 6 cases of hobby or 10, we may get 1 or 2 of this product. So they do make far less of this one. I will probably get offered more to rebuy, but it's different. It sometimes performs incredibly well, sometimes doesn't. I don't know what to expect from this. But like you said, the variations could be a driving force. We just don't know. You know, obviously the collectors are going to tell us, the market will tell us.
So guys, let's talk about some of the things that you liked. Drake, when you looked at Prizm and you saw what was coming out of the boxes, what was jumping onto eBay, what were some of the things that you thought worked really, really well for this year's product?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm certainly a gold Prizm guy, right? So that's what I'm always looking at.
No.
But, yeah, you know, so it's like if you looked on my phone and my eBay searches, I've got WWE Prizm 1 of 1, WWE Prizm Gold out of 10. So that's really kind of what I look at. And I think what I like, you know, would just kind of go back to photography. I mean, I've got my rock card right here. I know we've talked about it a few times. Let's see if we can look at
That's
that.
beautiful.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
So it's cool photos.
It's a fantastic card. The whole thing, the layout, the black background, the picture, it's just a really well designed card.
It is. And it's funny, when I saw it, I kind of went back and forth. I'm like, you know, if I had to choose between the two, do I like the rock bottom picture from last year? Do I like this one where he's just standing there, you know, looking like a badass? And the answer is I like them both, or else I wouldn't have bought both of them. So
right, exactly.
So yeah, but that's kind of what I looked at, and just going in, you know, I've seen some of like the color blasts. I think the color blasts this year look a lot better than last year, personally. You know, you think of like the prismatic entrances. I know we've talked about this in our group chat. I think the design on those was really good this year.
So good, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to comment on all the different parallels and all the different cards because I am so focused, things like that. But yeah, that's just some of the good what I've seen.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you there, man. Like the photography, I talked with Steve Pellegrino on Twitter. He picks all the photos. He's been following this so clearly, and he's just like, I'm loving that you guys are getting this, because I get all these photos from WWE. We're trying to process them. Like, I love what they've done with the photos. I think they've really made some good stuff there. Bannister, what about you, my friend? What did you think were some of the good things this year?
I think they did a phenomenal job on the autograph photos, meaning switching up what they did, like the Bray Wyatt holding lamp, Seth Friggin.
That was so cool.
The ring. I just think
that's my favorite. Yeah,
my son pulled the red auto of that. I'm like, that's going nowhere. You know? So
that's awesome.
Red on red, it just looks great. And you know, I'm a big Seth Rollins guy. So I think it was nice because the flashbacks, whatever, tributes, flashbacks, it's called the 2012s, I guess, whatever.
Throwbacks, yeah.
Throwbacks. It's been called so many things through all the different sports. It's like, what do you want to call it? Just stick with it, you know? So I think they captured the autographs even better this time than just normal basic stuff. I think that was a key thing, in my opinion, by just not having something so basic. I think like Drake said, the imaging, just what they use for images all around, I felt that was key. Obviously, they didn't change a whole lot. They added some new color blast in. There was no mangas,
yeah. I'm glad. I don't like those cards. I really don't like those cards.
I mean, but that could have been a nice extra throw.
It would have been a chase
for 10 cases, whatever, 20 cases, you know. But
it would have been a chase.
Overall, I think they did a phenomenal job. And for an autographs, obviously, I'm an on-card auto guy, but from a sticker standpoint, I can't go wrong with wanting to acquire the Rollins or the Braves for my kid. You know, that it just, again, stickers, I can deal with those.
I agree with you, man. Like, I think those are like if you haven't seen the Seth Rollins, I'll put it at the bottom of the screen here. So like, awesome. It's such a great card. Well, it was now like that outfit, the ring gear he wore for Clash at the Castle was incredible, and they captured that perfectly. I think it was awesome. I think one thing that I was scared about, and I think they executed it with the photography so much better, was the flipped design on the sensational signatures and some of those. Like, I was scared for those. I thought those were going to be awful looking, but the photos made those cards so much better, to your point. I love the Bray Wyatt one. There's so many good poses. So good points there. Absolutely. Mr. Shear, what about you? Like, yeah, we're calling you Mr. Shear now. What were some of the, we're getting really formal here. What do you think were some of the things that you gravitated towards just looking at it? I know you were kind of only chasing a couple of cards too. So,
well, just for you guys joining us, I collect Macho Man, and I used to do everything Macho Man, but now I'm kind of just sticking to 10 cards numbered out of 10. I don't chase stuff out of 5. I don't chase stuff out of 25. I'm just sticking to 10 across the board. It provides a nice chase, and I can get some nice stuff out of it. So really, the only card I'm looking for, and this is the Macho Man Gold out of 10. Now, there's a couple of them. They've got the inserts. There's the Ring Royalty. There's the Hall of Fame. There's the entrances card. Those won't go for more than $175 to $125. They just won't in the gold format. They may go a little higher to start, but they're gonna stay right around there. I'm also a Bruce Beefcake collector. He's not in the set, so that's not even an option for me. So
Unfortunately.
well, and that's really the thing, because I don't have any, not to brag, but I don't have any competition with Brutus stuff. Like if the 101s come up, I'm going to offer more than anybody else, because that's my guy. It's been my guy since I was a kid. So it's kind of a shame that now I'm 2 years in and I'm still Brutusless. So maybe next year we'll see. But
you got to save some for the threequel, right?
Well, you know what's going to happen next year? He's going to have a color blast. He's going to have a manga. He's going to have, somebody's going to see this and be like, all right, you want Brutus? Here he comes.
Here you go.
He's going to be in everything. The Brutus Beefcake tribute set out of 10, 40 cards. Exactly. I can get all those. So
we're just going to make Ryan's life a living hell. Yes.
It'll make it more interesting from a card perspective for sure. I think the throwback autos are absolutely phenomenal.
It's so good.
Probably my favorite set. I think from the ones we've seen that aren't redemptions, which are going to get filled, by the way, in case you guys are worried. The pictures are great. You have Hogan over the ropes with his hand up to his ear. You got Batista just shredded out, screaming. John Cena with the belt. I mean, they look really good. And a point that Adam made was, if you look at 2012 football with the autographs, it's just a horrendous
garbage.
Yeah, it's garbage. A cluttered, awful design, very boxed out. Yep. These are a lot smoother. It's very obvious to me, and I think to everybody else here, that whoever designed this set really put some thought into it. It wasn't just like, okay, the first Macho Man image, boom, do it. The first Cody Rhodes, boom. The Cody Rhodes where he's jumping over the rope, the autograph, that's an incredible card, just from an aesthetic point. So I like that I can say, without a doubt, I believe that there was some thought put into this set by people who care, which is nice.
Yeah, the throwback autos, I can't disagree on that. Man, I even bought a Roman Reigns. Like, I don't collect Roman Reigns. I bought the redemption just because I thought they were going to look so cool. And I thought the Austin with him walking down with the belt, like, oh, it's so good. But yeah, I think like I said, like the 2012 football product and me did not get along. I did not like a lot of those cards. After the fact, people have started coming to it. Couldn't give that shit away in 2012. But like, I'm sure you sold it, so you would know. But like, those autographs in 2012 were awful. But they took the veteran design so they're not the rookies. It's the veteran base card design and use that for the autographs. And in most of their throwback products they've done for basketball and football and stuff. So they chose the right piece, because that was the best design out of 2012 to highlight. I think one of the main things that I love about Prizm this year, besides those prismatic entrance cards, which have Eddie and the Lowrider, come on, man. Like, that's amazing. Like, that's just great. But I think the Color Blast photos this year look so much better than last year. And I'm sure you pulled the Randy Orton one, Ryan. I know. I mean, that's just an incredible card.
I can't take credit for it.
Okay, sorry.
I can't take credit.
Mini Bannister has got a horseshoe stuck somewhere. We got to polish that thing, because that card is awesome. Like with the crawling photo, it's so good. And like that, and I like Bray Wyatt even, like, I didn't really think he really fit the Color Blast gimmick, but I think the Color Blast photo makes it kind of cool. The Undertaker with the hand, like, those really look cool. The addition of the top tier insert set, I think, is cool too. They've got some good renders on those. It's kind of a throwaway insert set that I think kind of becomes collectible, because they look cool with those, the head of the table photo, or Becky and her Money in the Bank, ring gear. It's they did a really good job sort of making this interesting. To Ryan's point, I think whoever put this together really tried to focus on things that wrestling collectors want to see, and cool moves, like, great photos, like expressions and stuff like that you can now see in some of these cards. Just that Roman Reigns belt shot, like, it's just good. So switching gears a little. Go ahead, Ryan.
On the throwbacks, because I'm looking at them on my phone as we're talking. It's whoever's featured, it's like their iconic pose. It's Hogan over the rope with his hand to his ear. It's Austin walking down the ramp pissed off. I mean, that card screams attitude
pissed off.
It's John Cena with the salute. Yeah, and it's just, I will say, I am over the darkened silhouette Undertaker cards.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about that a little bit here.
Yeah. So I'm over that. We
Hold
did
on
it.
a second. Hold on a second. Who bought? I did. I don't collect the Undertaker. Did either of you guys, Ryan or Drake, chase the original Undertaker silhouette card? What did you think of that?
Awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I wasn't a fan. When you
Dumbest
see the
card ever.
select, the select mezzanine, where it's basically the same thing, but it's purple and it's got like the moon behind him. Like that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
This year, I think is even worse. Somehow they made it worse, and like they chose a even darker photo with an even weirder pose on that throwback. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know if you have.
I pulled one, the autos. You can see his face just barely, and everything else is dark. This is what it is.
It's just weird. I don't like it. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. So speaking of things that didn't work well, what are some of the other things, Drake, that you thought maybe didn't work as well for this year's set? What did you take away from this? Like, hey, this could have been done a lot better.
So I'll jump in. I'll remove myself from the circle jerk on the throwback signatures. I'm not a fan. I'm not
All
a fan.
right. No, you're entitled, man.
No. And of course I'm being sarcastic there, right? So the sticker autos are a non-starter for me. As cool as the card looks, I love how cool the card looks. I've seen so many of the sticker auto, and it's not just a sticker auto, it's their auto runs off a sticker in almost all that I've seen posted. And that to me just bugs me as a collector, right? If I want to auto, it needs to be perfect. And if it's going to sticker, it's got to be perfect. And I've just seen so many that are not good. And, you know, as someone who would love to get this, like the Steve Austin card looks awesome. The Hogan looks awesome. I'm sure the Reigns is going to look awesome. You know, I'm sure John Cena is going to look incredible. Well, the Cena does look incredible, but when I've had so many times I'm looking at that card and I'm like, I really want to buy that card, but it's a non-starter for me. And so what I wish Panini would have done is the throwbacks without the autos, because I think if you
I brought that up. Yeah. We were supposed to get that.
Yeah. If you use those images and you take the sticker off, I mean, just shut up and take my money. So it's not that I hate the design or hate the concept of it. They're just, it's kind of a non-starter for me with kind of that design. And I mean, I love the design. There's just certain things about it that I don't want one.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, stickers are controversial, right? And so I was actually hoping we would get kind of the NASCAR treatment this year, where they'd have some on-card autographs, because on-card chrome autographs, that's my jam. Like that's 100%. My whole thing. And it's the best. But I was disappointed to see with stickers, and there's not even a single element of on-card. I'm okay with a mixed sort of presentation. Sure. Topps for years said it's either all sticker or all on-card. It took Panini sort of really breaking that wall to sort of say we can split it a little bit. I'm okay with that. I hear you, though. I hear you. Anybody else have specifics that they weren't sort of a fan of that we can sort of add to this pile of the set on fire here?
Well, I feel like if go ahead.
No, Vance, go ahead.
You go. I'm good.
Okay, so what I think they should have done, to Drake's point, I think that what they should have done is taken 50 cards out of the 200 card set and made a retro parallel. But what you do is, so if Steve Austin is card number 1, you just number that card 1, and then it's like 1, 16, 22, and it's basically a variation of the base card. And then that way you can have 25 legends, 25 current. And if you just want to collect that set, which I probably would have done, I would have just picked up those 50 cards. My gripe, I've got 2 big gripes with this set. One is whoever cut the vertical black 101s.
Oh my God.
Awful. Forgot about
was
that.
Drunk.
What the hell?
Every single one of them, every single one is 80-20 on the centering.
It's
every
ridiculous.
It's
like the vertical
like
white
90-10
from last year.
Yeah. It obviously was done in one day and it was off the press or whatever.
The machine was off. Yeah. Something like that.
This is your premier set. This is the set that you want to be the set for wrestling collectors. You can't fuck up the black 101s. You just can't do it.
You can't do it.
My second gripe is, I'm a Legends guy. You need a bigger color blast checklist. I bitched about this at the checklist review. How you don't have Macho Man and Ultimate Warrior in the color blast set is beyond me. And I think what they should have done, what I would have done, is I would have extended the checklist on the color blasts. Additionally, I would have put 5 to 10 color blasts that are retail only, retail blaster only.
Interesting.
Maybe the odds are crazy, but you have cards 1 to 10 or 1 to 15 in hobby. Maybe put 5 in the undercard, and maybe put 10 in the retail blasters. And then that
That's a
way
good
you've got
idea.
a 30,
Retail
got a
is
30
shit for this product. Like
but what if they added 5 or 10 retail only color blast? You can only get a Macho Man color blast and a retail blaster. I'm buying out the shelf.
Yeah, there's a lot of people are chasing. Yeah.
So those are my 2 gripes with it. You know, there's a lot more good than bad, but there's always going to be something that people don't like, and that's my personal opinion. What I don't like. Whoever cut the black 101s, they should have been redone.
That's a huge problem. It's like the white sparkles from last year. I don't know if you guys have any. Luckily, Becky was a horizontal one, so that was the one time I was happy she had a horizontal photo, because every single one of the vertical white sparkles were miscut. Same thing, everything we've seen so far on the black 101s, horrible centering. I'm not a grader. I don't grade cards, but visually it looks weird. And
it's topical because the black rock from last year is up, and it's a PSA 7 with kind of okay centering, so it's probably got a surface issue somewhere. But now you're looking at those cards; they're all 8s straight up. If everything else is perfect with that centering, they're 8s. They now, of course,
it's bad.
Whoever sends it in might get a favorable grade, is all I'm going to say. But none of those cards should be above an 8. And now you're talking 7s, 6s, and 5s if they have surface and corner issues.
That's really problematic.
Yep.
Agreed. All right, Bannister, you're up, buddy.
2 things I will say. One, since I don't watch NXT, and I watched a little bit. I mean, too many NXT people that matter. And why are we still putting NXT UK people in this? Didn't this fold over a year ago?
It did, yeah.
I mean, like, why are we still getting these wrestlers in there? No offense to them, but I think it's taken away. Like he said, there's no Bruce Beefcake. I mean, Bruce Beefcake, very well known.
Everybody knows him. Everybody knows him.
Not to, the circle jerk him, but I see his point. Like, how are you going to put people that aren't even a factor in the industry within the company anymore? Like, I think that drives me nuts more than anything. I'm okay with, if you want to throw 15 to 30 of the top NXT wrestlers in there, perfectly fine by me. But there's no need for some of these people that are never going to see the WWE in their life. That's what drives me nuts more than anything. And 2, if you're going to make more, you're going to make a gold shimmer from 3 to 5 and a blue shimmer from 8 to 11, AK print more. Why don't you throw a black shimmer in there? You can print a little bit more.
Thank you.
Throw a black shimmer in there. I was like an idiot when I went to rip. I'm like, oh, black shimmers. And Jameson's like, there's no black shimmer. I'm like, why? Why wouldn't you have a gold shimmer?
Thank you.
Shimmer? Why do you have a black shimmer? Just to print more and drive up the market on those 2.
Offset, yeah. Yeah, if you can offset the increase in numbering with some extra chase, I completely agree. Yeah. I also think we talked about this in the checklist, but not having gold vinyl in the set is a huge fucking problem. Mm-hmm. Like, gold vinyl next year, if it's not in this set, I riot. Like, they better get these cards in the set, because top superfractors in wrestling are more important in wrestling than they are in almost any other sport. They may not be as valuable, but in terms of importance to the collectors themselves, the superfractors just huge. Not having gold vinyl, again, they don't have time to slow roll this. Like, they've got 2 years left of this. Yeah. It's like 1 or 2 more years of this left. And why are you waiting? Like, get them in there, get black gold in there, just make it fun. And I think collectors want those cards because they transfer over from football and baseball and NFL and every other product. Get them in there. Secondly, the black shimmer is great call on that. But they switched out, I think it was cracked ice for blue wave. Major problems with that. Like, I like the cracked ice a lot more than I like the blue waves. I know the blue waves are 1 or 2 per box. I don't remember what the cracked ice score in 2022. Maybe we'll see them in retail. Maybe we'll see them in undercard. But I don't like the blue waves as much as I like the cracked ice, because a flat parallel with no color is always going to resonate more than a bright, neon type color. It's a nitpicky thing, I know, but that's what we're here. Like, the set is good. Like, we're excited about it. Like, there's people talking about it. So that's why we're sort of getting down to like these little tiny details. So Yeah, there's that. And then my last thing is, I don't need 100. I don't need 100 horizontal cards. The photos were great. I get it. We don't need 100 of them. Make them when it's necessary. When you have a photo like that Macho Man, when you have a photo like Roman Reigns, I don't need 100 of them, man. Like, get the rest of them vertical. Find a photo that fits. And to your point, Ryan, maybe shrink the checklist down if you have to. But man, like a horizontal card for 100 people standardized, I don't think that works at all. Especially for the anal retentive collectors that hate horizontal cards. Like, why are you forcing them into that box? It's not good. All right. So just I think overall we've sort of had a really good discussion on sort of what's worked and what didn't work. Let's look at sort of lastly as we're sort of wrap this up, like 2022, one of the most controversial wrestling products I think ever released because there was such a split in the community over the pricing and how it was received. How do you think 2022 compares to 2023? Do you think that it lives up to it? I know it's not going to be as valuable, but do you think it's better? Do you think it's worse? Like, where do you guys stand on this, Bannister, if you want to start?
I think it's kind of a little bit of both. Obviously, I'm a traditionalist, so first year I'm going to grab as much as I can in the first year, just because it is. I like you said, the Becky images this year. I love the Orton image last year. Hate the Orton image this year. Just walking down the map, it's like, come on, like Randy Orton of all people. Why don't you just give him?
It's like,
let's just call it a day.
Thank you. Yeah, we did the same thing.
Just make one of those cards for you don't have Prizm anymore, please, and not make it an insert, please. Just food for thought, Panini. But no, I think there's good and bad. I think it's good to see so many people buying into it this year, feeling comfortable buying it because of the price point. I think, like you said, you ripped some hobby and you've done well too. Well, it's a difference when you're paying $250 a box versus 800, 1,000, 1,200. I think that is what's going to help drive more interest into wrestling. Plus, one thing to go off tangent here, but from a standpoint, from a shop owner who buys a lot of wrestling, probably more than you guys realize, in the sense of, my point being is last year Prizm did this and it did this on the product because influencers tanking, all this, there's a lot of characteristics going. It should have never got up here. I even told people that I sold cases to sell them. This is stupid. Will first year Prizm hold value down the road? I absolutely will ever get back up here. No, but my point being is Select was a great product. And the problem was it came out, it was one of the second or third after Prizm came out. Too many people were burnt by Prizm. So Select never took help. Select and Revolution are just such a great rip for the price point from last year because so many people got turned away because of this to this. And I think this year it's going to stay like this, kind of do this. And I think it'll drive more people to rip Revolution with the kabooms, and who knows what they do with Select. I'm a big fan of Select. I rip more than I know. I'm also a big fan of Impeccable and Immaculate because on card, I know we're talking Prizm. But my point being is, I think because we can deal with this, it's going to drive more interest into the wrestling community.
I agree.
The people willing to buy it, willing to spend a little bit more we're talking a Macho Man, all-time great, iconic wrestler, number to 5 gold shimmer, did $1,000. We're saying how that's a great number to start. If we put that and make that anybody else in any other sport, that card's doing several thousands of dollars. So I feel like this is still going to grab people that go, man, I should be buying a little bit more wrestling because
it's nothing.
And I talked to Jameson about this. Sorry, I'm going on, but I'm trying to make my points.
No, please.
Coming from a sports and basketball, dealing in high-end stuff, coming into here, it's like, you're spending such a fraction on key stars, superstar, Hall of Famer, great wrestlers that you would be paying way more up here in any other sport. And the competition is far less down here than it's up here. So for us to collect the guys we want, it's great because we feel like, we overpaid, but did we really overpay when we think about what we do on the other? So
I think about
everything.
I mean, I think about that case of Spectra I ripped in, 2017 or whatever, 20, whatever it was. Yeah. Like I spent a shit ton of money on that. A shit ton of money. And I got very little. Before the boom, it was still expensive. And this is a fraction of that even. Yeah. And it's crazy because you can get a Rock like Drake has. You can get, Stone Cold Steve Austin. You can get Braun Breaker as if you're a prospector, or Sol Ruka or whoever, and they're fractions of what the big rookies are in NBA and NFL. Like, that's just fun. Like, even if you don't make a ton of money, like, that's okay. Like, it's because you're just having a good time. I get to spend time with my kid. Like you were saying, like, my son and I collect together too. So, like, all of those things are really big factors when you also consider that the price isn't up here going like this, it's more flat. And there's a lot more room to have a good experience knowing that you didn't just burn through 10 grand to rip a case. So, like, last year, if you're ripping a case day one, it was 1,200 a box, 12 boxes. Like, that's a shit ton of money. And like this year, cases are like $3,000-4,000, and you're having a good time if you pull a gold Rock or a gold Roman Reigns or something like that. First off the line, maybe it's a couple of $1,000 more expensive, but you're getting all of these gold shimmers and stuff like that too. So, Drake, I don't know, do you have anything to add there as well?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of echo what Ryan said. I think the first Prizm release is always going to, hold a significant place in the hobby, especially long term, and I think that's good. But I think the one thing for me that as I think about it, right, I'm thinking about the key cards that I've got that I've wanted literally in the first week of release, and there's still key cards from 2022 that I've never seen.
That you've never seen before. It's
yeah,
crazy.
that I've never
Wonder
seen.
why that is.
Yeah, exactly, and that I don't have because all these people are holding wax, thinking that it's going to go
holding
up.
Cards, yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And so it's frustrating to me as a collector because, you've got people that maybe got into these cards either really high or it's still sitting in wax and things like that. And so, I think you'll see 2023, at least in the short term, probably do really well.
Great point.
Just because a lot of folks are able to get the cards they want and you're not just sitting there frustrated that you can't find it. Right. And so I think that's really key for the product. And I think that speaks to the price point and the collectability and that whole sort of thing. But the other thing too, and I know you've seen this kind of more personally, Adam, is I also think that the reduced price point and all this kind of stuff is bringing in more collectors. And so for certain people, you have more competition on things maybe than you did last year. Yes, exactly.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And so it's kind of a catch-22 in a way. But I certainly am heavily invested in 2022 Prizm. But it's also frustrating to me as a collector because there's still a lot of cards that I want from that set that, I've only seen one copy of, or I've never seen, so on and so forth. So it's been nice to pick up some key cards from my collection just really in this first week. It makes you feel good as a collector.
That is a really good point, Drake. And I didn't actually think about it that way because Prizm 2022, there are a lot of people, like, I know at least 4 people sitting on first off the line cases that got in huge. There you go. Like, they're just sitting on it because they can't rip it. It's too expensive. It's too much. It's too much of a loss. And like, you can't sell it because you take a humongous loss. You can't open it because you're not going to hit a card. The best card in the product is $5,500 at a PSA 10. The Rock is already pulled. Stone Cold's already pulled. Like, there's nothing in those cases that's going to justify the price right now or the loss. And then, so those cards just sit. Like, I'm still waiting on cards from that. I'm still waiting on cards from Prizm too, like 2022. You're 100% right. This year, we've seen black after black after black after black after gold. I mean, everything's coming out because people are ripping it. Because and that's huge. Exactly. Yeah, and it's great to see. Like, that is huge. Not only does it build excitement for the product, because I think people were speculative last year. I got caught up in the hype, I know. Like, Ryan and I had talked a ton about this on videos. Like, people were it was controversial because people didn't get what they want out of it. They were last in line in some of these cases. And like, now it's much more it feels more accessible, to Ryan's point, because it's the price point, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is last year 22, a lot of the big cards sold privately. And so a lot of people were really skeptical as far as like, what's the price and is that a real price? And was it paid for? Was it trade? All that kind of stuff. So I think the fact that a lot of these big cards are now selling publicly in an auction place, I think that helps the product too. Like, just since we've been here, I did see another Rock Gold hit auction. And it's already.
I saw that. I was going to say something.
Okay, there you go. And it's and it's starting to fly up with some bids right now. So
nice. Ryan Shear, what about you, buddy?
Well, I think that this year, 2023, is going to wipe away a lot of the sour taste that 2022 has left in people's mouths.
Yeah,
I think that, we've talked ad nauseum about 2022 Prizm WWE and the good and the bad and how game changing it was for wrestling cards, whether people want to believe that or not, it was. But I think that this set, as everyone said, photography, price point, accessibility, the visual learners can see that this stuff is selling well as far as singles. I think that this is the set. I don't want to put it on a petty stool, but I think that this is really going to be the #1 product for WWE this year. I can't.
It has a chance. It has a chance.
I really do. Now, if we're talking about 6 months from now, we're talking about Immaculate and stuff that's much more expensive. But I think at this price point, this is now considered a mid-range product for WWE. It's not a high-end product like it was last year when boxes were $1,200, $1,500. This is a mid-level product. Chronicles, Revolution are going to be low-end products. Although I do think the Revolution is going to be, I love Revolution. I have loved Revolution for years. I like that product. I think it's a great product for the price point. And I'm telling you, as I've been saying all the time, do not sleep on the Galactics. The Galactics are very, very difficult to find. They are going to become even more difficult to find as people lock them away in collections. So if you have a wrestler or there's a Galactic you're looking for and you can buy it, 30, 40, 50 bucks, $100, buy it and put it away. You can thank me in a couple of years. So you're going to have the low end stuff with Chronicles and Revolution. You've got this is a really, really nicely done, well done mid-level product at $300 a box, maybe $250, maybe $325. And then you get into the more expensive stuff. But I think that this is a great set and they did a really good job with it. And it's better in person than it was on paper because Adam and I kind of were like, when the checklist came out, I just think the photography has just blown it to a whole new level.
Yeah, it just takes it to a new level.
I'm very happy and I give Panini a lot of praise for this product. It's really well done.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point. And the one thing I do want to go back to is Ryan Bannister mentioned this earlier. There's only a couple of years left, maybe a year, a couple of years, whatever of this. 5 years from now, when Fanatics is 2 or 3 years into their license and people are like, okay, I want to go back. There's not a lot of 2022 around because it's just like people have gotten the cards they want. They put them in collections. I know, Ryan, you just found the black Seth Rollins after a full year at a card show, like of all places. So like, things like that happen. So I think even though it went like this, I think it's gone like this and kind of just hit that floor and stayed there. I think there's a lot of chances people reminisce 4 years, 5 years down the road. 2022 is going to look good. 2023 is going to look good, but it's cheaper this year and the cards aren't going to be like the second year rock. Drake, you have both of them. It's not as expensive as the first. The first is always more expensive. So, I mean, like this feels more accessible as Ryan Shear was saying, like, I think overall the 2022 landmark debut set, 2023, we're going to take everything that kind of didn't work as well and make it better for 2023. I like that a lot better. So just to wrap this up, I want to give you guys one more chance to tell them where they can find you and maybe give any closing thoughts that you have on 2023 Prizm. Thank you guys both, Ryan and Drake, for hopping on. This was awesome. Hopefully we didn't keep you guys too late at night. Ryan in his Pacific time zone, throwing us all off. But Bannister, do you want to start? Tell them where they can find you. Tell them about your store and maybe give some closing thoughts here, and then we'll go to Drake and Ryan.
Yeah, thanks again. It's been a lot of fun. Actually, I'm feeling okay right now. I'm not too tired. I may end up going to Instagram Live and rip this Prizm case for as much.
Let's do it.
You might want to watch that tonight. I don't know. I got a little bit of energy, not much. Thanks a lot, LeBron. I had to watch my boy last night. But basically, you can find us on social media, RBI Crew 7, RBI Syracuse 7. Basically, this guy here. I wore this to work today. I don't always wear an RBI Crew 7 shirt, believe it or not. I wear like
it's wrestling. It's wrestling. We all wear our own shirts.
Yeah, whatever. So you can find us, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, RBI Crew 7, RBICrew7.com. We're revitalizing our YouTube right now. We're bringing that back. Something we started 16 years ago. That's where the name originated from. We're bringing that back. So look for videos and good video editing. I didn't hire a content guy, actually. Tyson, who works for us, you met Tyson, you know Tyson.
Yeah.
He approached me, so we're doing that. But basically, that's where you can find us at. We're also in St. Peter's, Missouri, in Salt Lake Road. We've been there 3 years. We love it, and
it's an awesome store. Like, go check it out. They have such a great operation.
Tell my wife that she had a lot to do with that. So.
Yeah, she did a good job.
Things are different. We could do a lot more of this store we could in the first store, but basically, a lot of fun. Loving, really diving hardcore into this. You guys, I've been very quiet with a lot I've been doing, except kind of talking to Adam a little bit. Ryan brought up, I bought the Macho Man last night, the select. The reason why I bought it is because I have the true black ringside that was pulled in my shop.
So good.
And I was like, you know what? I saw them bids. I'm like, I'm going to throw a bid on it. And I was out at dinner and I forgot I bid on it like 2 days ago, like max bid. And it's like, you want an item. I'm like, oh, what did I win? I'm like, oh, I forgot I bid.
Oh, shit.
Cool. So I got both of them. It was just kind of one of those things. I'm like, whatever. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I'm enjoying really doing this with my son more than anything. That's kind of
so good. Yeah. That's why we all do it. And I think dealing with Ryan is a collector himself too. He has huge amounts of wrestling cards. A lot of people aren't familiar with his side of wrestling and what he's been able to accomplish there. He's ripped a ton of Immaculate, especially. Did you get to 39 cases by wrestling?
39 cases. 39 cases, not nothing to talk about, but I hit I got a video of it, me feeling pretty good off a couple man sodas at a WrestleMania party. I hit the Orton, Shawn Michaels, Cena, Edge quad autograph redemption. And I only hit 4 101s in 39 cases. But I hit the one that mattered most for you. That's what matters.
Thank you. So that's good, man. And so, yeah, check him out. Store is great. He's got a lot of breaks going. Supplies a lot of people in the hobby too. So he's very well known. Probably one of the more influential shops in the entire hobby itself. He's too humble to admit that, but he is. So great to have you on. Thank you so much for taking some time to be with us tonight. Drake, do you want to tell them where you can find all of your social media and kind of what your closing thoughts are on this?
Yeah, so you can find me Drake's PC on the Instagram. I'm Drake Magruder on Twitter and Facebook. Feel free to reach out whenever if you've got any questions. And also, if anybody has a 2022 Prizm Gold of Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, or John Cena, please send it my way.
He'll pay for it.
Yeah, exactly. Those have been on my list for the last year. So yeah, I mean, just appreciate the conversation. I think it was a good kind of conversation. And like you said, like a postmortem of Prizm. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what we get the rest of the release year, and excited to see, just kind of what cards continue to come out. I'm excited.
Yeah. And thanks for hopping on. I know this was kind of last minute for a surprise run in, coming down the aisle with a kendo stick. Love it. Thank you for hopping on. Ryan Shear, you want to tell them where they can find you and kind of any closing thoughts that you have as well?
Instagram, non-sport showcase. That's my Instagram account. No Twitter, or if you look hard enough, you'll find me on Twitter. But that's
now he's finally coming clean. All right.
Well, I'm hypothetically, if you look really hard, you'll probably find me on Twitter. I did want to ask you guys, to Bannister and Drake, the Black Macho Man has been pulled from this year. What do you think that value is?
Good question.
You guys have experience in this high-end market. You both purchased cards in the high-end market. I want to know what you guys, what dollar amount not what you would pay, what you think it's going to go for.
If I had to take a stab based on what some of the Macho Mans did from Select, I know they were kind of bid high to get them kind of deal. I think it could do north of 5,000 easy. I think it could.
I agree.
It could sleep and fall and do 2-3, but I think we're looking north of 5,000. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Drake?
Yeah, that was kind of my number two, was around the 5,000. And really, before we leave, we got to talk about the Rock that's in auction. We got to get.
Okay. We'll add
predictions there too.
2,000 when I clicked it a second ago.
Well,
it's more than that.
Well, not the Rock Gold. I'm talking about the Rock Black that's in PWCC.
Oh yeah, sorry, that one.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. So,
one more follow up, real quick. Answer real quick. Does the PSA 7 grade affect the price of that Rock?
Yes. It shouldn't, but it will.
Bannister?
To a true, if somebody's really a true collector buying it, no. It's a flipper, somebody that wants to make money, absolutely. But the true collector is going to pay whatever it takes. I'll be honest, if I can read my Seth Rollins Black, I'm probably looking at an 8 if I'm lucky, because it's so OC, it drives me nuts.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think so. Here's the thing with the Macho. I think I'm going to call it. So I think the two base blacks that are really going to drive money are the Cody and the Macho. I think Rock is going to be up there too. I think Macho could sell for more than Rock, which is crazy to say it out loud, but it's got a shot. The Rock Black is, in my opinion, the most important modern WWE card that there is. Like, it just is. And if the reports on the original sale from that's the old price, bought from the breaker who bought it from the guy who pulled it, if you follow that story, like, even if it sells, so like Brady, LeBron, Jordan, they've all come down about 65%. If the reports are true on what he paid for it for his business partner, like, that's still a $35,000 card at 65% down. So I mean, like, I think we're looking at probably north of 30, but if there's a guy at 50 and there's a guy at 17, it goes for 18,000. So like, there's so many factors here. I think the grade absolutely hurts it. But if it were an 8 through a 10, I think or an 8 through a 9, it's a push. It's a 10. Probably somebody pays a little bit more for the premium. I don't know, man. Like, your guess is this is a true barometer of what the tippy top of the modern hobby is going to look like. I hope it goes for a ton. I think we're kind of playing in a really down market. People are soft on a lot of stuff, but the middle of that hobby where Prizm, the good stuff in Prizm usually exists, that stuff's blowing out of the water. Like, that stuff's going crazy. Like, Ryan, I know you've gone to a couple shows recently. You've done crazy business at those shows. So not the entire hobby is down. It's just people are sort of like coming to the middle a little bit more. I think this card's an impact from that. But it's the card.
I don't like it being on PWCC's platform.
That too. I don't think many wrestling collectors are on there. I don't know if many people are looking for it. The outside eyes that would probably be on this card. Plus, you can set a market
because I know there's a lot with PWCC.
Yeah, he does. He's aware of it. I know that, but I think, like, there's some people like Drake who have a huge Rock collection, have really good cards. I know you're in on it if it's at the right price. I know Jameson's probably going to throw a bid or two at it if he thinks it's the right price. I think you could buy it now, stash it, buy it 15 grand, stash it. No one sees it for 5 years. Like, throw it back up. Maybe it does 30. Like maybe the economy's in a different place. There's so many factors in this hobby right now that are negative, just from a perception of the high end. I think that could affect it, but the bottom end of the hobby coming up to the middle, that's exploding, especially in wrestling. So I don't know. There's so many factors here. The detractors, the haters out there of Prizm WWE, they're going to point to it and say, like, look at this shit, blah, blah. I get it, but there's a lot of things going on. But it's a great discussion. Great discussion.
Production. I mean, we're not going to get, when it's all said and done, it's locked in Fanatics for long term. So we're sitting here praising great things. People should realize, like, this ain't going to happen. This isn't going to be every year. Once this is done, it's done. I mean, it could be 20, 30 years from now, we see it again. Who knows if Panini is even going to exist with our world outside sticker.
Great point.
At that point. So just remember that we're getting a short window of that. And that's something to consider for collectors going forward. If you like the Prizm, right, you're not going to get it every year. Once it goes back to basically tops, is what's going to happen.
It's going to be a great point. It's the first license I think I've ever seen where we knew the end date at the time it started. So, like, by the time Panini was ready to release their first product in 2022 with Prizm, we already knew that in this certain time frame it was going to be back at Fanatics.
It broke news 2 days before the release. I remember that.
Yeah, they really planned that nicely.
Fanatics really stuck it up there. So
somebody was pissed about Dallas for sure.
Oh, I had some people at Panini I knew that were not happy about that. So
I can imagine. It's their big splash. Yeah. So I'm Adam Gelman. You find me on Instagram at WWE Gelman. You can find me on Twitter at SC Uncensored. We're going to have a ton more of these videos, ton more of these panels. To get into the national convention, especially looking to do some fun stuff for wrestling there, looking to do a bunch of stuff as we're sort of going around, and probably some of these guys will be involved as well. So keep tuned to the channel. We're going to be doing so many different things. Can't thank you guys enough for joining in. This was so much fun. I always love having these conversations, and I love having new perspectives. Ryan, thank you for being a first on this channel, and Drake, thanks for returning as now a vet. We're going to have to do like those, they have those SNLs where they have like the 5-timers club. Like, we're going to have to make jackets for people that are on, multiple times there, but hopefully you guys will come back. We'll have more discussions. And as Revolution comes in, we'll do the checklists and all the stuff that we've been doing every time. So thanks again. Looking forward to talking to you guys more. To everybody watching, if you made it this far, hopefully you've had a good time as well. Talk to you guys soon.